Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1522A, and today's date is March 15th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, This is Why the Central Bankers Are Worried About the Global Economy Collapsing. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, it looks like the disaster in retail, well, it is full speed ahead. Toys R Us, it looks like they're pretty much shutting down their entire operation, closing around 740 U.S. stores, 30,000 people going to be without work, which means there is going to be real estate that is out there that is completely empty. And this might even affect Babies R Us, because we are starting to hear that those stores might be closing also. We're also getting signs that Signet is closing 200 stores. Now, they make up all the different types of jewelry stores like Zales and things like that, and they're saying that the holiday season was a complete disaster, and they're going to have to start shutting stores. Now, this is very interesting because, once again, it's showing that people are not going out, not purchasing online, not going to the stores, and these retailers, they are now feeling the effects. Remember, they need the holiday season to get through the entire year. It is not happening. All the purchases did not go to Amazon, because when you look at the dollar amounts and you look at what has happened as a $1 trillion business, it all didn't flow to there. What is happening right now is more and more individuals, they're making less money, inflation is ticking up, and it's getting harder and harder for people. And many people said, you know something, we don't need as many gifts this holiday season. One, because we don't have the same job, or we have a part-time job, or we have no job. And we see right now that the retail industry is taking a huge hit. The real estate industry is taking a huge hit. We're starting to see prices come down. The bubbles are popping in different areas. Traffic's drying up. We see in Canada, we have problems in real estate. Australia, problems in real estate. It's starting to hit everywhere. And it's going to snowball as we move forward. Now, the corporate media is starting to recognize that the economy is not doing well. Now, this is all being done on purpose, and this was part of their plan, was to make sure that Trump was in office for a certain period of time, then start to turn everything around, saying that the economy is not doing well. Well, we've known that the economy has never recovered. It's never repaired itself. The central banks, well, all they did was create currency, prop up the banks, and made themselves very, very wealthy. That's all that has been done. We see right now that the Dodd-Frank provision, well, it looks like it's going to be overturned. It has cleared the Senate, and we can see right now that we might be going and repeating what has happened back in 2008. Now, prior to that, they repealed the Glass-Steagall Act. This was Bill Clinton who did this. And it only took a couple of years before the whole system completely fell apart, because it allowed banks to basically deal in risky assets. And we can see right now we're headed to the same exact thing, where now they're getting rid of the protection of the Dodd-Frank Act, even though there are some people saying that this is not a protection, we'd be better off without it. But at this stage of the game, it's only going to bring down the entire system. Now remember, there is a battle going on between Trump and the central banking institution, the Federal Reserve, the Rothschild banking system. And we can see that Trump right now is pushing his agenda with tariffs, starting what they call trade wars. But what he is doing is he is undoing everything the central bank, the deep state, has put into place over the many, many years, like NAFTA, the World Trade Organization and their deals. They got rid of TPP. He has to do this so it can allow the United States to survive after this whole thing resets. And what this tells me is that he's dismantling all of this, and then he's going to go after the central bank and get rid of the central bank. Now, we see right now he's saying that he would like to get rid of NAFTA, like he said he was going to do. He'd rather have bilateral trade deals with different countries instead of this globalist version where everyone's trading with each other and it's controlled. This is what the central bankers wanted. He doesn't want this. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is he's going after one of these things at a time. TPP canceled that. Then it was NAFTA. Then it was tariffs. Then it was reciprocal taxes. Now he's going after Germany. And trade war with Germany, well, they're saying this could damage the global recovery. There is no global recovery. This is an illusion that they created, that the economies are doing better, that we're in this recovery. And now they're saying that Trump putting forth these tariffs on metal imports is going to start a trade war, especially with Germany, because that's where he's going next. And this is all part of his strategy. Think about why the central bankers have the ability to keep the illusion continuing on for many, many years. Because they had governments put into place all these laws which allow them to keep the illusion alive. When you start removing their protection laws and you start to expose them, what happens? The truth comes out. And we can see this is exactly what is being done. Now, the central bankers, they want to control the economy. They want to bring it down in their way. They want to control the narrative. Trump is doing the same exact thing, and he's pushing everything to the edge. This is why the central banks are out there. Germany is out there. The EU is out there. Anyone that is with the globalists, they're all out there saying, what Trump is doing, he's going to hurt the global recovery. There is no global recovery. What they're really saying is what he is doing, he's going to hurt the globalist agenda. That's exactly what he wants to do. And the central banks, they're very worried about all of this. They're very worried about cryptocurrencies. They're worried about these tariffs. They're worried about dismantling NAFTA and all their other trade deals. They're worried about the United States having bilateral trade deals around the world. Remember, once we stop becoming the reserve currency of the world, we're going to need a mechanism to have trade. And this is what is being set up right now. He's pushing this forth so we can have trade once the system resets. Now, JP Morgan is out there, and they're saying that if Trump continues on with this trade war, he will bring down and destabilize the markets. And this opens a path to impeachment. I mean, they're trying everything and anything to get him out of office. So if he destabilizes the markets, brings down the system, they're saying that they're going to go and try to impeach him. You can see what is happening right now. This battle that we've been talking about between the central banks and between the Trump administration to get rid of the central banks, it is real. It is happening right in front of our faces. And we can see both have fired their shots. And Trump is continually firing his shots. He's going to continue on until this system is brought down, the central bankers are exposed, and people realize that we don't need a central banking system. That's what this is all about. Because again, you need to cut off the funding of the deep state, of the neocons, the corrupt government officials. You need to cut this off. And the root of all this evil, that's what we'll call it, is coming from the central bank. They're the ones who fund all of this. They push a button. Currency is now created out of thin air on a computer system instead of printing it with paper and ink. And they can fund any other central bank, any government, any other individual to do what they want them to do. And we need to remember that the central bank, the whole system, does not need to be put in place the way it is today. There's no reason to have this system where they create currency out of thin air and they loan this currency with interest attached to governments. It makes no sense. The founding fathers of the United States, they didn't want this at all. Actually, they fought against it. Andrew Jackson got rid of the central banking system until it was reintroduced in 1913, and we've had it ever since. But the whole reason was to get away from England, get away from their central banking system, get away from their control, and this is what is happening right once again. They understand the central banking system is the main problem. That's the problem that we are dealing with. And many people, those who are within the corrupt government, those individuals that are not elected but are within all of this, they like the central bank. If you look at a lot of the politicians, they go into government, they might not be making that much money as they get into government, but as they leave, all of a sudden they become very, very wealthy. I mean, who ever heard of this before? The government was supposed to be a place where they just, took care of the business of the 50 states, and it wasn't supposed to be a career type of position where you made money and you had health benefits. It was supposed to be a place where you served your time, you served your country, and then you went back to your everyday job. But most of these individuals are career politicians. That shouldn't be. And the founding fathers knew that this entire system was going to be corrupt once again. They said within like 200 years or so, actually went a little bit longer than that, it would become corrupt. And here we are today. We are now watching in real time the battle between the central bank and we the people. And it's a fight to see who controls the narrative, who will be able to bring down and reset the system. Now, the central bankers, they want to reset it into their new system. And Trump wants to get rid of the central banking system and most likely have the government coin the currency. Could be coining cryptocurrency, could be coining whatever they want to do. But we don't need a central bank to loan us these funds with interest attached. So here we are, and it's building up. It's getting worse. This is what the central bankers are worried about. They're worried about cryptocurrency. They're worried about people taking their funds and transferring from the banks to the exchanges when everything starts to fall apart, because the banks will be then completely insolvent. They'll have no funds within the bank, and they will not be able to use the bail-in documents. They're worried about these tariffs. They're worried about the reciprocal taxes. They're worried about Trump getting rid of all these trade deals. If you look at what he's doing, he's dismantling everything. Very slowly, very methodically, but saying we don't need this anymore. We don't need this. We need bilateral trade agreements. We don't need that because all that was in place before was to hold the central banking system in place. This is why they're able to keep the entire system continually moving on and on and on. And people are expecting a crash, and they're able to manipulate everything and never really have a crash. Yes, when they want it to crash, that's when they make it crash. And this is how they gain control. This is why in the basement of the Fed, they're able to control the stock market. This is why they have other central banks pouring funds into the stock market. The banks pouring funds into the stock market when they receive free money from the Fed to keep the system alive. And it only benefits those at the top brackets. The rest of the people, well, they're suffering. The real economy is not doing well. Retail is a disaster. GDP numbers are completely fake, phony, and false. The unemployment numbers are completely fake, phony, and false. We don't have manufacturing. Has been moved away from the United States to a new location where the central bankers want to set up their new system. And we can see at this time that To shut all this down, you just can't flip a switch. It'd be nice if we could, but you need to dismantle everything that they've done over the many, many years, and this takes time. And that's the thing that we're fighting against, time. Because they just didn't pop up last year, and here we are today. They had, 100-something years to do what they've done. And now we want to dismantle it in 4 years? This is what's being done right now. But no matter what, this whole system is going to be transitioned into something completely different. It just all depends on who controls the narrative when we get there. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.